Hey there, welcome back to another edition of the Premier Investments and Wealth Management Financial Program. My name is Doug Wagner, your host, and before I introduce the gentleman around the table with me, I do want to remind you that you probably don't know if you're ready to retire or when you're ready to retire or with what you need to retire. Well, my friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management can help you find confidence in your financial future. Find out if you're on track to retire and how by going to premieriwm.com. Click on Get Started, just answer a few questions. They'll provide for you not only a one-page Premier Vision document, but they'll also provide time out of their schedules for free to sit down and go over that document with you so they can explain to you, answer some questions that you have. You'll find out if you're a good fit to do your wealth management investments with Premier Investment and Wealth Management. Very easy again, premieriwm.com. Find out if you're ready for retirement, your kid's education, or maybe that hunting lodge over in the West Texas hills. Wherever it is, whatever it is, Premier Investments and Wealth Management is here to help you. Get in touch with them at premieriwm.com or call 800-383-6590. Premier Investments and Wealth Management, named to Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Team. Directly next to me is a new sheriff in town. His name is Elias Randall. He's Vice President and Wealth Advisor. Good to see you again.
Doug, good to see you.
Football season's almost here. You ready to go?
Yep. I stay ready, Doug. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Ooh, nice.
That sounds like a sheriff right there.
He's bringing the heat to start the show. Goodness.
Also,
Let's see if you stay ready.
You never have to get ready.
Oh, my gosh.
Also here with us, Jonas Everett, a wealth advisor with over 30 years of experience in the investment industry. Jonas, how are you?
Good. I just heard the music to high noon. And
I mean,
wah, wah, wah.
It's too good. Oh, my goodness. Also with us, he is an accredited investment fiduciary, over 22 years of experience in the investment industry. He's better than anything you could find in standard cable. He's president and wealth advisor, the big kahuna, Roger Abel.
how you doing, Doug?
Another rhyming intro.
I'm not even going to try to back up.
I'm feeling it.
Here's what I want to know. Did you spend time thinking about that, or did you just like flip the switch and make that up that quick? Because if
I'm
so,
sure-
you're getting really good if you just pulled that off the tip of your tongue.
I'm sure I've heard someone say it before.
That was solid.
That was solid.
That's how I better be that way for the show, I guess. Stay ready, always. What was
Kinda
it? If
like
you
a
stay
sponge.
ready, you're always ready.
Well done.
Yeah.
We'll give you a bit
Yeah.
to cool off. We'll give you a little minute to cool off over here because you're so hot starting
I'll be
out of the
okay.
gate. We're going to get
I'll be
over
all right.
Jonas's money tip of the week. Jonas, the question that a lot of people have, what came first, the golden goose or the golden egg? Do we know the answer?
Well, yes, we do.
Okay.
And, one of the things that I get asked quite a bit is, well, you work with wealthy people. Why don't you try to teach people that aren't wealthy how to be wealthy? And I think that's what we do. I mean, we provide a lot of free education like this. I think we're the only company in town that has these podcasts. We have the radio show, numerous other sources of free information that people can get. So the golden egg came first, Doug. Everybody has some golden egg to work with. And I don't know why I didn't use an acronym for this money tip of the week. Wi-Fi.
Oh,
Everybody
okay.
can remember that,
Right. Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
yeah.
Wi-Fi.
Everybody needs Wi-Fi to be on their internet.
Okay.
So the first thing, willpower doesn't work, systems do. And what that means is just look at New Year's resolutions, people trying to lose weight and they sign up for health club memberships. That doesn't work. Willpower doesn't work. But if you have an automated system of investing and saving money, that does work. I'll give you an example. I have a customer that I always ask people that have done a great job saving, how'd you do it? And he said, when I had a chance to max out my 401k at work, I did instead of buying a new Corvette, which my coworkers bought Corvettes. And he said, that's fine too. You know, they love their Corvettes, but he just drove used cars until they didn't work any longer. So he drove them past the trade-in value period where they were just on the side of the road and the wrecker had to come get them. So willpower doesn't work, systems do. Forgetting can be a superpower. I had another customer, he wanted to put some money away for his adult kids. He had these 3 life insurance policies that had considerable cash value in there, and we wrapped them over in the kid's name. And I said, well, do you want me to call the kids and tell them how much this is? And nope, just I want them to forget about it.
Yeah.
Until one day they might need some money.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to show it to them. And then number 3 is the I. So we have WFI, invest in yourself first. I don't know how many times I meet young people and they're like, they actually didn't go to college. They went right into the trades.
Mm-hmm.
And their company like paid for their advanced degree in that particular trade, and they're coming off making a great wage and have zero student loan debt. And that's investing in yourself. So that's the money tip of the week, Wi-Fi. Take
That's
a
awesome.
golden egg and form your own golden goose.
Exactly. That's wonderful right there. This is something that you're going to get this kind of, it's financial wisdom. You can get that from anybody, anywhere, anytime. But it's the relationships they create at Premier Investments and Wealth Management that make the huge difference as far as how you're going to work with them. Known these people for years, and it's something where I entrust my finances to them. And I think it's important that you have some place where you can sit down, get in touch with them, regularly relate, ask questions, and get the kind of answers like Jim is asking. Roger Abel, we're going to go to you. Jim says, if I wait until 67 to take Social Security, how do I bridge the income gap between 62 and then without draining my accounts too quickly? Can we take a step back here real quick before that? What do you gain by putting off the date at which you collect your Social Security?
Your income coming from Social Security will increase about 8% a year each year you delay that payment.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, I think this is one of those blanket advice things. People believe, well, my full retirement age is 67, so I can't take it until then. You could take it at 62. And I think before we even talk about, how to bridge the gap, it really goes to figuring out why 67 is important to you. And then have you done a plan to figure out what the optimal age for Social Security is? Mm-hmm. And I hesitate to use the word optimal for Social Security because there's really only one way to optimize it. And that's to know the exact year you and your spouse are both going to pass away.
Right.
So it really comes down to, does it work for you to wait until 67? And, for some people, and a lot of people that are waiting till 67 or even 70, which is your maximum benefit, they might have to draw down their investment portfolio pretty significantly in the first 8 or 9 years. But the ability to have that locked in higher check long-term makes more sense in their financial plan, maybe due to longevity in their family. If mom and dad both made it to 95, chances are you will. I know if you wait to take Social Security and you live to 95, you win, right? Because the likelihood is you'll live longer. But the first thing to do, if you're locked in on taking this at 67 and you're 62 years old, you're going to wait 5 years. You have to evaluate where all of your money is coming from. Where are your guaranteed income sources or steady income sources? And if you look at our financial plan and cash flow, the first part of the cash flow analysis is Social Security, pensions, and all the what we would call guaranteed income sources.
Right.
Not income from investments, but do you have a pension? Do you have income from a farm? Where's the money coming in before we look at your investments?
Okay, that makes sense. It's interesting because, Elias, I'm watching Roger over there, and I can see him running through something that is a physical document that he shows people, and you show people on a regular basis as well. And part of that is making sure that people have an understanding of the flow in which people take the money out, or they disinvest from the market and withdraw as they're taking in their income.
We do, and there's several ways you can do it. I think, would you guys agree or disagree, the Premier Bucket strategy, the best way to do it? In my opinion, it's the best way to do it.
Well, that's why we use it.
So no disagreement.
No disagree. I mean, and
Unanimous consent.
here's what's
So,
Yay.
I'm going to let you talk about it, but here's why we use the bucket strategy. It's a very customized approach to each individual family that we're working with versus just a rule of thumb or something they read on the internet. It's a customized approach.
Right.
And with the customization, right? That's a process of defining, one, how much can you spend for how long? And are we going to be spending more at the beginning of retirement than we are throughout? So there's a lot of moving parts, but the bucket strategy is really a tiered withdrawal strategy in, I guess, financial planning. And kind of one of the main concepts is always having enough cash to spend, right? So typically it's going to be 0 to 36 months of cash. And there's very good reasons for doing that. And really the main reason what the listener should take away is you don't want to be selling investments when they're down in value to provide your monthly income.
Right.
It's like back in the spring when we had the tariff correction, whatever people are calling it now. If you didn't have any cash available to spend and the market was down, did you really want to hit the sell button and realize or actually experience those losses? Or if you have a portfolio that can withstand that, you should have cash available to cover monthly expenses and any bigger ticket items coming up between now and, we would argue, 36 months from now.
Right. We're talking about Jim's question. If I wait till 67 to take my retirement, receiving my Social Security, how do I bridge the income gap between 62 and then without draining my accounts too quickly? Jonas, I'm going to ask you a question. When you're sitting there trying to figure out exactly how you're going to make the sequence of these withdrawals for your clients, I would imagine you probably have a slide rule and you have a green visor and you've just got this little lamp that's right here and you've got a little calculator, right?
It's actually an 8-ball that I check, and it says check back later. Yeah, Jim, great question. When I heard this draining accounts, that I automatically thought, yikes. We definitely don't want to do that. So the upside down question, you don't want to drain your accounts in your 60s because you don't have the opportunity to build them back up. So one of the things that you'll want to do, really, there's probably 3 different ways. The strategy that I like, and I'm going to save the Roth conversion question for Roger here, but the strategy that I like, Jim, if you don't want to take your Social Security, ultimately, if you can try to figure out a way to live off your interest and dividends only. So everybody has a pile of chips to count. If you preserve your principal at least early on in retirement, then you're not basically forcing yourself to, you're not going to run into a situation where you're ever going to run out of money too soon. The biggest financial mistake I've seen people make with their retirement savings is taking out lump sums. So you do not want to do that.
Gotcha.
Well, that's a good point. And for some people, drawing the account down is okay as long as it's in concert with the plan.
Okay.
You made a point about withdrawing lump sums, and here's where people really get stuck if they take a lump sum. We go to the work to put a plan together. We figure out how much income, we go through all of our income sources, how much we need to spend, gives us how much as advisors we need to allocate from the portfolio to your checking account every year after tax.
Okay.
Well, let's say your taxable income, you're in the 12% tax bracket. You're withholding 12% for taxes. But then you go say, hey, I need $200,000 to go buy an RV or a boat or a camper or whatever it is. And you don't withhold more for taxes. Guess what happens? You have a spiraling problem because now at tax time, you owe more taxes. So you have to take more money out to pay the taxes. And people that overspend get caught in this tax loophole where it's just, they're never catching up.
Spiral.
To
it just keeps on going
because
downward.
it's just really challenging for people that do that. And that's how people really get in trouble are the big purchases. Yeah. They do. They just, I need to buy a Jeep for someone's birthday. Oh, really? I mean, you never bought a Jeep when you were 55, but now it's 70, you need one? Like, it's an easy way to really destroy a financial plan, one, and your retirement, too.
That's a tough one because you talk about making sure that things stay within the financial plan. You like to have a something that's flexible, but there's some things that create little option. I think what Jonas said earlier was just right on, this idea of when you lose a lot of money or you blow through a lot of money later in life, it's hard to build that back
It's
up
impossible.
again. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. If you're making a one-time purchase and you call up Elias and say, Elias, I'm thinking about buying, you haven't bought it yet. I'm thinking about buying an RV.
Yeah.
What happens if we take $200,000 out? What's it look like?
Right.
And Elias models it and says, I think you're fine to do that. That's the way to approach
Right.
it. Unfortunately, what happens with most of these large purchases, they're impulse buys. I was down in Arizona and my friend has one of these buggies and they're $65,000, so I had to get one.
Right out after.
You know, it's like ask for it's what's the saying? You
Ask for forgiveness, ask for permission. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rather ask for forgiveness
That's
than
it.
permission.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. You're
Didn't come to me, but that's the
Yeah.
same point.
Exactly. And so Premier Investments in Wealth Management at premieriwm.com. We want for you to get familiar with the way that they work. And you're watching this program, listening to this program. It's something that pretty sure that you have up to this point, but maybe even more intimately by downloading some of the great downloadable stuff they have. You know, how to invest in market volatility, talking about investing when you're at market highs rather than market lows, and how do you differentiate between the two. They've got answers for you at Premier Investments in Wealth Management, premieriwm.com. Specifically, find out if you're ready for retirement. Click Get Started, answer a few questions. They will provide for you a one-page Premier Vision document. They'll give that to you to take home. It's your roadmap. That's the very first thing you're going to see from them. They'll sit down with you for a free consultation as well to walk you through it so that you could see about what does your financial future look like. Is this something where you can find confidence in your financial future? My friends at Premier Investments and Wealth Management want that. premieriwm.com. Make your appointment online. Get your one-page Premier Vision document by clicking Get Started, or call for your appointment at 800-383-6590. Premier Investments in Wealth Management, named to Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Teams. Talking through Jim's question, if I wait till 67 to take my Social Security, how do I bridge the income gap between 62 and then without draining my accounts too quickly? Something we've not talked about up to this point. I'm 57. I've got a sibling that's 62, another that's 66. Another that just turned 71, that's 71, and they are all facing their health issues and having to deal with them. And, you know, for some of them, they were oncoming or ongoing, but some of them, there was an emergent sort of thing. You got to plan for that, whether you like it or not. I mean, really.
You do need to plan for that. And when you're reviewing your overall health costs, there's things that are easier to project, right? Like the premiums and what are those potentially going to be and what do we normally spend every year? But the things you're talking about, well, emergencies come up, right? You might need to have some money available for an emergency. And Jonas, I know that emergency fund is kind of one of your most important topics, favorite topics. And a lot of times I've answered the question before, what's the most important part of investing or financial planning? That answer can be as simple as being prepared for emergencies and having enough money there to, you know, really keep the foundation in place so emergencies don't derail your progress and derail what you're doing. So with reviewing what it's going to cost you for health, in addition to that, be prepared for unexpected expenses as well.
Jonas, it's something we're moving forward. You talked a little bit about it earlier, the idea to make sure that you have a spending plan that's there. I mean, he talked about the emergency spending plan in order to make sure that your health emergencies are taken care of. But the other thing, too, is making sure if you're in retirement, you still need spare tires.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you have to have some emergency funds, some spare tires. You have to have an extra spare cash situation. If you look at the spending plan in retirement, before people retire, I always ask them, how much money do you spend when you're not working? I want to know that. I want to know what your lifestyle is, because when you drift into retirement, I want to be able to replace that income for you. But one of the things that we're seeing, that I'm seeing personally, is a lot of people think, oh, I'm retired on a fixed income and this is it. You know, I can adjust my budget to whatever income I have now. The problem is their property taxes are going up about 15 to 20% a year.
Just heard about this last week.
Yeah,
at our
and they
neighborhood
have
gathering.
their house paid for, but it's like, well, and I tell them there's nothing against the stock market going up, over the future if you live another 30 years. So back to investment planning again and back to a financial plan. But if you're retired on a fixed income, just because your income is fixed doesn't mean that your expenses are.
Exactly. And let's finish this question up with Jim by talking about this real quick, because it's something that is there, but until you guys said it a number of times, it didn't really hit me hard enough. When you're retired, you still have to be an investor, because we're living longer now and you don't want to run out of money. You just have to make sure that your buckets are working to do what they need you to do.
Well, in Jim's situation, being 62, he's likely facing a 20-plus year, probably more like 25-year retirement. I mean, that's a long time, and that's where, as Elias alluded to earlier, the bucket strategy really comes into play, because we can allocate money for 6+ years that's designed for growth. And when Jim calls up and says, hey, what do I do about this tariff deal? Stock market's down 19.5%. What should I do? It's really easy. What bucket of money are we talking about?
Yeah.
Because if you have 3 years of cash, do you think you'll be okay for the next 3 years? Do you think this will pass over the next 900 days? And typically the answer is yes. And that is the power of that bucket strategy.
And you know what? I was doing some yard work here the other day, and I was thinking about the utility of the bucket that I was using. And I'm sort of getting off script here, but it's important to understand that, I mean, when you use a bucket in any form, you are going at it in a very systematic way. You can only fill the bucket up so high, and at the same time, you don't want to underfill it, so you're wasting your time walking from point A to point B with whatever's in there. If you fill it with water and you get it too close to the rim, it'll slosh all over the place and get everywhere. So I think that utility of having that bucket system, that metaphor carries across everything as far as making sure you have enough money and you have it in the right places at the right times.
Well, it's easier for humans to remember things with pictures and images. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And people form their own buckets too. We have people that get an inheritance, they get a windfall, and it's very close to their heartstrings. Yeah. And they're like, I never want to spend it. I'm sick to my stomach. Well, that's a bucket too. I mean, they're forming a picture and an image. And I'm glad you brought that up, Doug, because that's why the bucket strategy is so successful. Like Roger said, when we have the Aprils of this year, and I thought it was 18%, 19.5% drop. Yeah. I had customers saying, how much longer is this going to last? Well, what bucket are we talking about? Because, your cash hasn't been affected by this. Oh, you're right. It's my retirement bucket. It's bucket number 3. Yeah. It's my retirement account. So maybe I should ding, 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 back up the truck and add more to it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's where we were able to get their thinking past the fear and into the opportunity bucket, which everything's a bucket now, Doug.
It's been a while since you and I have talked about backing the truck up and putting more into it. But, I mean, that's the whole thing. Coupon cutting is another way of putting it, too, when that market goes down, and have the ability to do so. At Premier Investments in Wealth Management, it's something akin to helping you create a very financially confident future. That's what they want to do for you. Premier Investments website is at premieriwm.com. Click Get Started. Just answer a few questions. They will provide for you the one-page Premier Vision document. It's only one page, but it can go deeper than that. I mean, they can open this thing up to 50, 100, 150 pages. Casey could probably open up to 250 pages if you want to. The whole point is this. Your financial future is what they're here for. You don't have the time, you don't have the inclination, you don't have the education, you don't have the software. They've got all that. They've got a fabulous back office that works with them. Every single one of the wealth advisors at Premier Investments and Wealth Management is here to work with you. At premieriwm.com, click there and you can make your own appointment online, or you can just call 800-383-6590. Premier Investments in Wealth Management, named to Forbes 2025 best in state wealth management team. Let's head over to Sam and Elias. Sam asked a question about a good way to think about allocating investments for someone who's about starting to draw income. Should I still have stocks at all? We sort of talked about this a little bit earlier when we were talking about having to be invested even in retirement, didn't we?
We did, and good metaphors. And I think one of the best parts of the bucket strategy is your investment strategy, time horizon, and income needs. It's really a way to get all those things aligned.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I hear a lot from people in their 60s, and really even if you're 70 for that matter, is the comment, well, I can't have any risk because I don't have enough time for this to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to ask people, well, how much time do you think you have? Right? Someone who's 60 years old typically is going to say, well, probably around 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the longest bear market in history was during the Great Depression and was right about 3 years, right? Just shy of 3 years. So if your time horizon is longer than that, and considering you have good health, barring any accidents, to me, it sounds like your time horizon is longer than 3 years.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's another misconception, and something that gets brought up a lot is, well, I don't have time for this to recover. And the other thing, when we're aligning time horizon with strategy and goals for a family that says, well, I want this chunk to be for inheritance or for legacy money. Well, then our time horizon on those dollars is going to be like your life, and then your kid's time horizon, which is much longer than yours. I think it's a general mistake that investors make, and that's becoming too conservative. And I get that being conservative with your investment strategy feels good in the short term, but you're giving up a lot of long-term opportunity cost for that short-term safe feeling.
And it's interesting because you were talking about how the longest bear market in history is 3 years, but you know, if you've got 20 years in your lifespan, if you think about that, it's something where you could recoup all that. And Jonas, the bucket strategy that you talk about really comes into play here for somebody like Sam, who's trying to figure out how he allocates investment, about drawing income and where the money needs to go for what purposes.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of the theme we're talking about. Maybe we could talk to customers about one thing like property taxes, like we did earlier. And
Amplify complex financial concepts, provide clear guidance, and empower you to make informed decisions. Financial wealth.
Aha, that's a humdinger right there. They're never going down. They're always going up.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's no rule against the market going up either. Mm-hmm. Back to, we're talking about bucket number 3. We're talking about getting to know our customers well enough to give them the confidence to have some of their retirement money invested at all time to take advantage of these opportunities, not for them to get rich, but just to pay their property taxes in 10 years. That's all that we're trying to convince people to do. And like Elias said, we had a radio show one time. There's studies about this that are very convincing. And they're very complicated to talk about, but you have to have some money invested if you have any life expectancy in your family at all, just to pay for things in the future.
Roger, let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, unless you had a point that you
Well,
wanted to make.
I'll just piggyback on what Jonas said. You made a comment about giving people confidence. And there's one key way that we provide people confidence in having equities and portfolios. And instead of working off just what's your personal risk tolerance, right? What's your propensity to be able to have stocks in the portfolio and stomach it? We like to focus on risk capacity, which is taking the results of the financial plan and then demonstrating to somebody that by having 50 or 70 or 80% of the portfolio in stocks, this is what provides you an optimal outcome and the highest probability of success. And once we define for someone how much stock they need to have to be successful, that gives them the ability to stick out the markets. Because when someone calls up and says, well, what should we do? The market's down 19%. We have this a lot. Hey, maybe we should go all to cash. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Let me model your plan, putting it all into cash. Oh, your probability is 0. Would you like to put it all into cash? Mm-hmm. No, I would not. And that's what risk capacity does. It gives you conviction. Well, let's be honest.
You're truthful.
But be honest about it. Like human beings in general, especially if you're not really familiar with how something works, we revert to this kind of level of conservatism, meaning we don't want to take risk if there's not a known outcome. Well, if we can get people to take the appropriate amount of risk, the outcome becomes more probable. And that's why defining risk capacity is one of the most important things that we do for people. Yeah. You have to give people conviction to stay invested even in times of chaos. And right now, we've said this since the election, we are going to have a lot of volatility for the next 3.5 years now.
I've been saying this since before Y2K.
It doesn't matter. Volatility is not bad. It's not good or bad. It just is what it is. The outcomes will be similar, but be prepared for volatility, and risk capacity provides people the ability to stick out volatility.
And I like the way that you explain that too, because what it does is it takes it out of the realms of feels and puts it in the realm of two things: time in the market and the stats, the way that the statistics have come out there long term. I mean, one of the best things that you ever explained was somebody who said, we want to do X, and we're afraid that if we do X, that by pulling out the amount of money that we need, that our goals won't be achieved. And you said, let me model that for you. And it was the same.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter because they had that amount of money in there. So that's what you're doing, is trying to make sure that people have something where it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, though. I mean, everybody's got their own financial plan, their own buckets defined, their own strategy based on things like life expectancy, their health, what their goals are for their money as well, right, Elias?
A lot of times you find the one-size-fits-all advice in the Google search on the internet, right? You can go type in how to have an income strategy in retirement, and you're going to get inundated with information. You're going to see a lot of things about the 4% rule. That's a very popular thing. And I think the takeaway for listeners is there are rules of thumb. I always tell people those things can get you pointed in the right direction. But the best path forward is going to be a plan unique to you, unique to your family, in concert with your values, and provide you a way to accomplish all the items we've been talking about. Your spending today, your bigger ticket items, and long-term spending. I know there's still retired people today that are making comments to me about, I need this portfolio to grow because of inflation, right? And inflation's come back, but it's still recent, right?
Yeah,
like there's still some recency bias around that, but it's also a good way for people to see we need to be growth investors. We also need to have cash available to spend. And, if you're going to go it alone, a one size fits all approach is probably what you'll end up subscribing to. When you work with a professional firm, you're going to get an approach that's unique to you.
Yeah. It's diversified too. And that's one of the nice things, because I'm sure these guys talk to people all the time who have that hot stock, or they wanted that meme stock. They want to push everything there and just let it roll, baby, let it roll. If that's your idea of investment for your financial future, maybe you won't fit at Premier Investments in Wealth Management. I encourage you. It's complex. It's something that is really difficult to do on your own. Work with a professional. You go to a doctor for your medical ills. You go to a lawyer if you've got legal issues. If you want to invest for the future, for your retirement, for your children's education, for that dream purchase, maybe that lake home or that second cottage home. We've got some friends that have a place in Lake Geneva. That money just didn't pop up out of nowhere. They worked hard to make sure it ended up where they wanted it to be, when they wanted it to be there. Premier Investments in Wealth Management. Find confidence in your financial future by going to premieriwm.com. Click on Get Started. Just answer a few questions. They'll provide for you a one-page Premier Vision management document, and they'll go over it with you in a free, no obligation consultation as well. You can ask them questions. They'll ask you some more questions. And I think you're going to want to choose to work with them on a regular basis at Premier Investments in Wealth Management. PremierIWM.com. They're named to Forbes 2025 Best in State Wealth Management Teams. Give them a call at 800-383-6590, or you can make your appointment at PremierIWM.com. It is complex about going into retirement. That's why Lynn is asking the question, Roger. My husband and I are used to a steady paycheck every 2 weeks. In retirement, how do we actually replace that structure using our investment accounts? Now, is this something where you try to talk them out of this rubric, or do you say, okay, it's important to understand where they are, who they are, and how they spend money so that they get this money so they don't feel like they're either being strangled or poured upon?
We keep getting them money every 2 weeks.
Okay. This one's
a really simple answer.
It is. We get this question a lot. How do we get money out? Mm-hmm. We can set up distributions monthly, quarterly, annually, on demand, every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think the transition from working years to retirement is one of the biggest transitions people will make. Okay. With that said, of just getting it every 2 weeks, there's a couple of things I like to do as people transition, because a lot of times people will tell me, well, I've been getting, $4,000 every 2 weeks. I want to keep getting $4,000 every 2 weeks. Well, is that really what you need? Or are you just used to that? Because if you're taking money out of an IRA to build up a savings account, there may or may not be a good use of funds. And the reason I bring this up is I had an experience with a client probably 7 years ago. And they came in, they retired, and they said, well, we've been getting $8,000 a month, so let's just turn on $8,000 a month of income. And I said, we'll do whatever you want. But I'd done the financial plan. I knew they weren't going to spend that.
Yeah.
So I just asked, I said, how much money is in your checking account? They told me it was around $100,000. I just said, let's just do this for the next 3 months. Just live off of what you have coming in your checking account. When you come back, it's going to give us a good idea of what your real spend rate is. Not that we don't want to send you the money,
right?
But there might be a better use of the money, Roth conversions, et cetera. Come back. They actually waited about 6 months. I came back and I said, well, what's your bank account balance? $110,000. I said, do you still want to take that $8,000 a month out? They're like, why? I don't know why we would. What it actually led to, though, Doug, was working with their accountant. And then what we did is we set up a Roth conversion strategy. So instead of just pulling the money out, we started converting it to a Roth IRA. So we're not going to get hit with this big tax liability when they're forced to do required distributions. So yes, get it to you every 2 weeks, but make sure we know what we're going to spend, because a lot of people will look at their budget and say, well, our budget's $8,000. Well, there's things in the budget that go away once you retire, also known as how much we're putting away and saving for retirement. Because if you're going to take money out of your investment accounts, you're not going to keep saving for retirement. Like, that's just robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Right.
So one of the great things is just wait 6 months, get a big cash account, wait 6 months, see how it goes. If they would have come back and said, well, we have $75,000 left. Okay, now I know what your burn rate is.
Right.
Really easy to start to set up a spending plan and distribution strategy for that person. But if you're used to getting it every 2 weeks, once we know the burn rate, just send it out every 2 weeks. It's really simple.
Roger, the other thing that I know that you do, Elias, is one of the first questions you sit down and ask people when they say, all right, we're getting ready, we're ready to start planning for retirement. The first question you ask them is, what does my first year of retirement, what does your first year of retirement look like?
And that's a great question, because it starts to help you understand what lifestyle do they want to live? Like, what do they want to spend their time doing? And I guess the question that just came to my mind when I was listening to Roger talk about, how do we get the paycheck every 2 weeks and then figuring out what your burn rate is? Where would you get that type of coaching and that type of advice, right? Unless you're working with someone that you like and you trust,
right,
and they're really looking out for your best interest. So that conversation went from, well, we need to take $8,000 a month because that's what we just always do, to a different strategy. Now they're doing Roth conversions to realize some taxes, have some longer term tax-free growth. So I think that's a great thing for people to think about, is if you don't have like an advocate or someone you're consulting, like, where are you going to get the good advice that you can get?
Yeah, that makes
sense. How are you going to answer all those questions?
Yeah. Elias, this is something where we've talked about so many different things up to this point with regard to, they're used to a steady paycheck every 2 weeks. How do we replace that structure in our investment accounts? Is working with them so they can benefit from the knowledge that you have, because you know what? There's a lot of knowledge you've gained from the smartest people that you worked with, both as clients and other financial professionals, that you can use this to benefit your clients.
Yeah, really. I mean, Warren Buffett said about investing that it's money in now for money out later. I really think that Premier is the best at the money out later game. I get referrals from the local cereal factory, and the last person that called me up said, hey, you're really good about taking the skim off of investments. And I'm like, what does that mean? And I immediately thought about casino and the mafia and all of this stuff. And but he was talking about taking interest and dividends off, and he came in and he said his former advisor was all about saving, and didn't listen to him about his first year in retirement, how he wanted to enjoy some of this stuff. And I think that once you get the Social Security, the spouse's income, the dividends, interest, rental income, identify all your sources of income, and everybody has a pile of chips to count. Forming a spending strategy is very important to people. But again, it has to, you have to squeeze the juice out properly, or else there's not going to be an orange left.
If this is a question for you, Jonas. So if you were working with a firm and you called and wanted to take some of your own money and spend it, and they tried to talk you out of it, like within reason, is that a red flag for you, or how would you feel about that?
I wouldn't like that at all. I mean, it's my money. I mean, that's what it's there for. And so that'd be definitely a red flag.
But at the same time, it's something where you're talking about spending the money on what, and this is where the financial plan comes in the understanding of it.
I think there's a caveat to if you call in and want to spend the money. If you've done a financial plan with us and we know what your appropriate spending amount is, and you are habitually calling up and asking for money well in excess of the plan, then I think bring up like, hey, maybe that's not smart. Is something to discuss. Or
I agree
as
with
we
that.
refer to it, the talk.
Yeah.
People will ask, can I spend this? Yeah. If I believe you're massively overspending and putting your retirement at risk, we'll have what we call the talk.
That's what you get paid to do.
And that's not bad.
Yeah.
Right, it's not bad. It's just, hey, this isn't sustainable. I want to make you aware of it.
Right.
If you want to keep doing it, it's your prerogative. It's your money. But it's my job to make you aware that this may not work out how you're planning.
Yeah.
And we've had this before. We actually had a customer, Doug, that I think they called you up and said, is Roger going to have the talk with us at the next meeting? And Elias said, I'm pretty sure. But they had an ace in the hole.
Pretty sure that's why you're coming.
Yeah, they had an ace in the hole. They had a farm that they didn't have the intent of selling.
Right.
And when we did the original financial plan, we had left that farm completely out of the equation. Well, when they came in, I said, you could continue to do this, but you're going to have to be willing to sell the farm. And then we modeled it back in. And their response to me is, we really enjoy giving the money to our grandkids, enjoying the time with our kids while we're healthy. So we're willing to sell the farm. Will you tell us when we need to list the farm? So sure enough, I called them up, I don't know how many years later, and said, I think it's time to think about selling the farm. They said, we already have it for sale. So they were conscious of it because we made them aware. It wasn't like, hey, we have to make a decision to sell this farm instantly. They had a couple of years to prepare themselves mentally that we're going to have to sell this place.
If you're working with the wealth advisor that is just cookie cutter and everything is just the same template, everything looks like a star or a moon or just a circle, you're getting underserved. You need somebody who can be flexible like your needs are, like your desires are. Premier Investments in Wealth Management, you just heard exactly how they can serve something like that. Go to premieriwm.com, click on Get Started, answer a few questions. They'll provide for you the one-page Premier Vision document. It's like your own little fingerprinted thing, okay? As complicated as you want it to be, as simple, and they'll go through it with you in a free, no-obligation consultation. Make your appointment at premieriwm.com or call 800-383-6590. For Roger Abel, for Jonas Everett and Elias Randall, I'm Doug Wagner. We'll see you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial or tax advisor prior to investing. Premier Investments in Wealth Management and LPL Financial do not provide specific individualized tax or legal advice. We suggest that you discuss your specific situation with a qualified tax or legal advisor. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance referenced is historical and is not a guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly.
There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of the strategies. Investing involves risks including possible loss of principal.
There is no guarantee that a diversified portfolio will enhance overall returns or outperform a non-diversified portfolio. Diversification does not protect against market risk. Traditional IRA account owners have considerations to make before performing a Roth IRA conversion. These primarily include income tax consequences on the converted amount in the year of conversion, withdrawal limitations from a Roth IRA, and income limitations for future contributions to a Roth IRA. In addition, if you are required to take a required minimum distribution, RMD, in the year you convert, you must do so before converting to a Roth IRA. Forbes' Best in State Wealth Management Team's ranking was developed by Shook Research and is based on in-person, virtual, and telephone due diligence meetings and a ranking algorithm that includes a measure of each team's best practices, client retention, industry experience, review of compliance records, firm nominations, and quantitative criteria, including assets under management and revenue generated for their firms. Investment performance is not a criterion because client objectives and risk tolerances vary, and advisors rarely have audited performance reports. Shook's research and rankings provide opinions intended to help investors choose the right financial advisor and team, and are not indicative of future performance or representative of any one client's experience. Past performance is not an indication of future results. Neither Forbes nor Shook Research receive compensation in exchange for placement on the ranking. For more information, please see www.shookresearch.com. Shook is a registered trademark of Shook Research, LLC.